or grow it. From the Stash Podcast.
A huge shout out to AC Infinity. They recently released their humidifier. This is an easy top fill system that allows you to adjust the moisture levels from the outside of your tent. It connects to the controller 69, which makes things so much easier to use. You can follow it on your app. You can see it from outside the tent without ever having to step inside. If you head over to acinfinity.com, use promo code THESTASH15, you can save a few dollars off not only the humidifier, but all of their products. And while you're at it, thank them for being a sponsor of today's video.
When it comes to keeping your smoke for a while, I smoke a lot. So the stuff I like, it could sit in the, well, look at this jar. We've seen this infamous jar here. Well, there's nothing in it, YouTube. This is a plain, there's literally nothing in this. It's just a jar. But look how dirty it is. Like, that's because this is just my regular personal jar, we'll call it, right? Well, a lot of people are realizing more and more that these aren't the best ways to go about it. I'm learning more and more this is not the way to do it. You know, I feel like preservation and storage are two different things. You can store stuff in a M&M Minis container. Me and Trey, that's how we hold all of our blunts. And we go everywhere. The M&M Minis, eat them, clean it out. Best container for 6 blunts. It's a 6-shooter. Perfect. But preservation? No, I've got stuff in jars that's crusty and old. It's crazy. Yeah. You got to can it. You got to treat it like you're canning, tomatoes, like a product, if you're going to try to keep it a long time after cure. And that's where I think things like Grove or Sea Vaults or Canitrol. So that's you can store it in the Canitrol too, right?
Stream Elements has got the chat covered there with a link to the Canitrol.
Just because I said the word?
Yeah, that link.
No, it was before.
Updated too. Wink, check your DMs on here on Discord.
Oh, get you a better one.
Needs to be updated.
Water curing. I've heard about water curing. I was just going to touch on that. Curing and preservation are not the same thing. Storage and preservation are not the same thing. I don't know about curing in a grow bag. I've never done that. You guys tried that?
Yeah, that's what I did or am / doing. Well, okay, I guess in fairness, I never air sealed them. Like I didn't, or not air sealed them, but not vacuum sealed it, but heat. Thank you. So I guess in fairness, I can't say I actually did. Because
not 100%. Yeah, it's like that'd be worth trying. I'd like to see, if it's
like
really
I had
worth
no
doing.
complaints. I was gonna say that I never heat sealed any of those bags, and they still worked great for me. That seal. Yeah, I just hate that we're talking about those bags so much. It sounds like I'm just marketing for them. But it's like I really found them that They worked as expected. Now,
I feel like people need to understand that about us. We're not shills. We don't get AC doesn't pay us enough money to just be like, AC Infinity. No, they put out products that make us champion and become fanboys.
They've put out products that we talked about before they put them out.
Exactly. And Grove Bag, they're not a sponsor, but we like the product.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But great ways to store. How do you guys store? I'm curious because, like, you think the technology is going to advance, So,
yeah. Well, I'm still a jar guy. I'm still a jar head. I got to work on that. But this water cure I've heard about, and I know people who've talked about doing that. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I didn't even get the concept because I feel like you've probably had enough people on your show that you've at least talked about it maybe once, but I'm sure it's something we've never even said it in passing to each other.
Nope, not at all.
No?
What is it? Break it down for us.
I'm not the breakdown guy. There was somebody who was explaining to me that they do water curing and they like it better, and I was like, well, I feel like that's a waste of time, but okay. But there's a lot of things people do that I feel like is a waste of time. I can't even explain to you what it is. Maybe, do you want to pull up water curing and we'll take a little look? Not like a video, but just a Google search and we'll see a little something about it. But I have no idea about water curing. Is it Royal Seeds up there? They got good articles.
Yeah, Royal Queen. You didn't just say that, so we'll be fine.
Beans. Their blog. It's a blog. Jesse,
just don't show it on the. Yeah, just don't show it.
Yeah. So
no idea what we were talking about. Water curing.
So
can you see it?
Helps break down harsh substances for a smooth smoke. Water curing flowers in a fraction of the time, but comes with serious drawbacks as well. Find out more below. All right. So involves placing bud in glass jars for several weeks at a time.
No,
That's regular.
yeah.
Water curing achieves a similar outcome to air, just through different mechanisms. Instead of waiting weeks for the harsh molecules to degrade, direct contact with water pulls them swiftly out of the flower. Although it works much faster, it comes with significant trade-offs you should be aware of. So essentially, whoa, okay, so you put it in there and it pulls out the chlorophyll, the sugars, and potentially irritating chemicals is what it's saying. Then you have to re-dry all that?
I'm just curious what where's the process? You just dump it in water? What?
Yep. That's what it's showing.
There's no how-to there?
So
Like,
it's
just
different.
how-to?
It's different than bud washing, obviously.
For
'Cause
sure.
washing is going to be a quick go through, as where this is
Yeah.
going to be a slower breakdown.
Interesting. And for those of you that are just listening and not watching, we're just searching the definition of
All right,
water
so
curing.
fill it with clean water, submerge the buds, make sure that they're all well exposed. You want the water temperature to be between 65 and 75 degrees freedom units for Americans, Fahrenheit. You want to shake the jar a little bit and change the water once a day. You need to change it because the curing occurs when the herb is exposed to clean water. Okay, the water will be full of irritating substances that seep out of the buds, so you need to refresh the water on a regular basis, doing this every 5 to 7 days. You'll notice that the water is clear. When there's no impurities in the water, your cure is complete. And then you want to hang those cured buds and let them remove the excessive moisture.
I wonder how much terpene loss is happening during that process. I know it's like terpenes aren't water
decided to
soluble,
try
blah,
this?
blah, 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 blah. But still, it's like, you got to be losing something. I'd like to see some test results of like water cured versus non-water cured and see if there's a
So are
difference
you-
there, see what the difference is.
Are
That's
you
our
just putting
job, bud.
shake in there? Hey,
That's
Keeger,
our
shout
job.
out to Keeger for the sub. It sounds like we're making bad hash here now, and this is where, like, yeah, the bud washing would have been better, and this Daystar Genetics says it perfectly. I feel like someone thought about bud washing, got lazy, and then just told their friends they water cured it. Yeah, I've never done it, so I sound cynical when I say this, but it just seems like it's counterproductive. Like, you want to have a proper slow drying cure. If you're worried about having all these things in your, I can see this maybe for an outdoor guerrilla grow that's not kept, it's not maintained, and it's just rogue, stuff. But then also, you better have small buds, because how are you going to put them in mason jars and fill, like, it sounds wild. I would just think bud washing would make a lot more sense. Go back and you might be able to find a video from Pigeons on bud washing on his channel. But I just feel like that's counterproductive. I could see there being a reason to do it, but I just don't feel like it makes sense to. I mean, you just got to think about that. Your curing process, so you're going to have to dry even longer now. So you're taking what could have been 21 to 30 days.
I don't think so, actually. From someone who does washes or did
for washing it, but not for letting it soak saturated for 7 days at a container.
No, that's not what it said. Is it?
Yeah,
I thought it
that's
said
exactly what it says. 5 to 7 days.
7 days. Change out the water every day.
After doing this for 5 to 7 days. Oh, I thought it was
dry it. You must have zoned out on me there. Yeah, you
definitely
let it sit in the water for 7 days. And
okay. I thought you had to shake it once per day. Oh yeah. Oh, change the water once a day. Okay. You need to change the water because okay.
So you're creating anaerobic conditions, which I know a lot of people are like, well, that's kind of worrisome a little bit, huh? It's like,
Yeah, you may as well just go remediate your. Just get a remediator and remediate your product at that point. I said
H2O is better than radiation, in my opinion.
But I'm saying, like, if you're looking to, if your whole goal is to just like remove everything essentially, other than your THC, I feel like because that's what's going to happen is you're going to damage the potential of quality terpene and flavonoid from this. And again, this is just all bro science in me, but I just don't see this thought process. Hold on. This just posted this. One of the benefits from the article: by pulling terpenes out of your bud, water curing will decrease the aroma and flavor of your harvest. However, a lack of terpenes also means your buds will smell a lot more discreet. Hitting a vape in city center and blazing a joint on your lunch break suddenly becomes a lot easier. So this is clearly an article from the UK.
Right. I was going to say we might not be losing any trichomes or any potency, but you are definitely flooding out terpenes. There's going to be loss of taste. It's inevitable. The water is taking, like, where's it going to go? It's going to go into the water, right? So, yeah, as we've kind of
That's
stated,
wild.
this is a no. No for me,
Austin,
dog.
did you work too hard on your grow? Do you not care about your end results? Did you want to drown your prize new buds? Well, we got a method for you. Have you ever heard of water curing? Like,
Check it out. Yep, check it out.
I'm
It
sure
won't
there's
hurt
going to
your
be people in the comment
trichromes.
section. I'm sure there are people in the comment section that are going to swear by it. So if you
That's
are a
cool.
water curer, please let us know in the comment section of this video.
And let me know what the
your
salt
thoughts on it.
tastes
Let us
like
know if
and
the
some Diet
steps are
Bud, too.
wrong. What
I'm
are you saying,
actually
Rob? You're
gonna
talking
go
over
out. Yeah. What'd you say, Rob? You were talking over Chris?
I was just saying, also let me know exactly how that salt tasted, the synthetic Bud 2 guy, because you're probably the same person, the person in the comment section who's like, actually, I am the 1% that somehow disagrees. And
I
it's like,
would
oh.
go to wager that there is nobody.
Yeah.
There is no. I would argue that there's nobody that's in favor of this. You
But
know.
what about drinking the water? Right, that's got to be some.
Well, that's different. That's different.
Some therapeutic benefits. That's
Right. Well, I would then say that it, like, if you're bottling up the water and selling it, well, now we're talking about something, right? Because it's like
But the
steeping
THC
tea.
is that activated, though. You got to activate that
No.
THC.
Boil
No,
the water.
maybe you're not.
Decarb it.
Yeah, maybe you're not
Drink
doing
the
it for
water.
the. Maybe you're
Drink
not doing it
boiling
for
water.
the trichomes. Maybe you're doing it for like the tea. You want to have a morning tea or something. You want to
And
just
get some of those
enjoy the
other compounds in your body.
cannabinoids.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Without
yeah.
the psychoactive effect as much.
The water would be far more desirable to me than the bud.
Yeah.
Keep the water,
For
throw
real.
away the bud.
That is, it's funny. You know, and I think that's where, like, there's a lot of stuff that is this throwback kind of hippie-ish bro science stuff that still is applicable today. And then there's some that needs to be thrown out. And that's one of those that needs to be thrown out. I appreciate From the Shed to bring up that topic. It's one we've never talked about for a good reason, obviously. But clearly, if it's out there in the world, we should discuss some of these things. You know, there's different methods people swear by. I've got a buddy who to this day swears by using a box to cure in. He has a homemade big old U-Haul box.
I remember
And
those days.
And he swears his shit. It always dries better, and I swear it hits better, bro, every time. I'm like,
It's because your terpenes are soaking into that box.
Like, you got a nice kind of like boxy taste to it, a little cardboardy. I like that, you know. But some people swear by it, and it's like, if you're into that, that's fine. I'm not going to knock it, you know. But science is going to dispute certain things, you know, and that's where, like, I have my opinion on stuff, and then science tells me wrong. You know, I've thought that I've put ice on my plant, but like, I swear trichomes come on more. No, that's like a self-induced placebo effect. You know, I really feel like the more you look at the actual factual science versus anecdotal evidence, it really makes you to realize that some of your efforts are wasted. And it's like, why am I doing this extra work? You know, even for that water curing process, like, that's a lot of extra stuff. You're creating more steps than necessary to hinder your performance, you know, and that's the same thing people do with the 48 hours of dark or the ice baths or all these things. Like, is it helping, or is it just extra steps that are anecdotal? You know?
Yeah, people still swear by that.
Yeah, I was a guy. I got a video on it.
Yeah, I never did it.
You know, you hear about people saying that, oh, it's because of at nighttime is where the trichomes are developed. And so it's a last ditch effort to get trichomes, or last ditch effort to get those trichomes more potent. And then you've got people who are like, oh, no, it's not anything about trichome production. The 48 hours of darkness is for sugars and chlorophyll breakdown. And the list goes on. It's like, it's one thing gets shut down. Like, oh, no, that's not the reason why we do it. We do it because of this, you know, and it's just, I hear a new one each month. Reasons why people do that.
I just do it because Mr. Canucks does.
Yeah. Well, like, you've got that you know, prime example. When I was younger, my old plug used to say, us hippies beat our plants up, man. We bend, snap, kick them around, push them, and we get massive plants. I'm like, damn, you guys do too, and you don't give a shit. Everything's just kind of ghetto, and it's amazing. But what they were doing was they were super cropping, and they just didn't even realize it. They were just bending and breaking and moving and roughing a plant up, and it had to react that way, you know, treating it a little harsher in those particular cultivars. I mean, they were growing like Durban poison and like throwback land races and stuff. So these cultivars can handle that kind of stress. But what they didn't realize is they were actually doing a scientific method of proper stress, you know? So it really just switches to like a variety of people like doing bro science stuff that does end up having science to eventually back it, and then you just got to disregard the stuff that doesn't, not have your ego attached to it, not romanticize things, and just do what works.
Yeah, and the thing is that we are at a time right now, and we can't forget where we've come from, because it's like we are at a time right now which is like a turning point for our industry, because, or our community, if you will, our culture, because up until this point it's been illegal everywhere. Growing was not acceptable. It was in fact prohibited, and research was non-existent. Shout out to Israel. But it's like,
Gang.
now, until now, people just had to work on bro science. They just had, and bro science, and I mean by like trial and error, and by spreading of word, or the word, and by word of mouth. Thank you. We didn't have the ability that we had, or abilities that we have now. We're starting to have guys like Dr. Bugby that can come out and start to show us some science and have some arguments and papers to support his conclusions, and then some of us are like, okay, all right, we get it now. Okay, ha ha ha, funny, flushing, ha 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 ha. Okay, but when we were thinking about it, okay, 48 hours of darkness, well, there was some reasoning behind it, although now flawed, that not everything is going to stick. Look at how far we've advanced this plant. We've manipulated to a point where people are allegedly, pulling 30+% of THC. That's pretty incredible. We've done some pretty wild things. Have we gone on tangents? Have we gone the wrong way or take some wrong turns? Yeah, of course we have. But this is an exciting time to be able to be here and be the ones that get to present the story of, we're squishing this idea, and this one, even though just a couple years ago we were all doing it. So it's pretty cool. It's exciting. I tip my hat to where we've come from.
And creating real science for the plant, because we're in this a point in history. And just real quick, shout out to A Games Genetics over here on Twitch, hitting us with the gifted subs, baby. But when you look at this time, is a historic time, realistically. Like, as legalization's happening, the actual blueprint for this industry, this community, this whole world for plant growers and consumers, we'll say, is evolving more than ever in history, because now we have actual science in places that we weren't legally allowed to do it coming out. So we can create a real blueprint and a real how-to. That's why when you go to commercial grows from here to California, almost everybody has the same technique. Damn near everyone's using Athena. Everyone's doing all the same stuff. It's not because they're all getting paid extra to do it. Most times they're following a blueprint, and they see that the science backs that it's working. They're seeing crop steering is working for them. They're seeing particular cultivars, certain processes work. Like it or not, science is science. I'm not a fan of some of the stuff that's going on, but people realize, synthetic growers now are realizing that a nutrient name doesn't mean anything. It's about what's in it. And if it's a base nutrient and you have your micros and your macros, you're A1. Doesn't matter what company it is. So they're going with the cheapest. When you're going with plants, they're going with the ones that produce the highest THC, best yielding, and if they can, terpenes and other things. When you're going for lights, it's a science now. We're no longer in a thing where I'm following my buddy Mark from the grocery store who was able to pull a pound of plant. I'm doing what he did. You know what I'm saying? There's an actual science. Whether you like it or not, that's where we're at. And I find it fascinating.
I actually did a poll on my YouTube channel. There's a community tab which you can utilize and do polls. Actually, a year ago now. I'm looking at it right now. I didn't realize it was that long ago. But the question was, how important is plant science to you? And there was 5 different answers here. I'm going to go through them all right now and tell you what the overall result was. So first one was, everyone should only do things in their garden backed by science. Second one is, science is important, but it's okay if not everyone uses it. Third one, I don't pay attention to the science. I just grow the plants. Fourth one, we should rely on our own experiences over science. And then last one, I'm against the science because I think it's rigged. What do you think was the top answer out of those ones?
Second one. It's okay.
Second one, science is important, but it's okay if not everyone uses it. 70% of people said that. That was the top answer.
People just want results. If they realize that the science was the exact way to get the results, this is the blueprint, they probably would all pick number 1 or A, but people are like, well, my buddy Jim, he does this, and I've been doing that, And I notice it's like, well, is there science behind that or is it anecdotal? You know?
The second option, the second highest percent
It's
was
rigged.
17%. No,
No.
17% of people said everyone should only do things in their garden backed by science. Then after that, 7%, we should rely on our own experiences over science. 5% says, I don't pay attention to the science, I just go to the plants. And 2% says, I'm against the science because I think it's rigged.
That was
So
me.
pretty interesting.
I'm just kidding. It
It's
wasn't.
all about you. That was me and P.
I was the 2% that won vote.
One and two. It was me and P. I think
Um,
it's really just about, you know, you got to know sometimes that we don't know everything as average Joes. You know, when we had George on from Quintana Plant Science, I was left in awe and jaw was dropping because of the amount of stuff that he brought up that like was things that I kind of did, but I just did because I was told to by seeing other growers or, you know, anecdotal evidence versus actual factual evidence of science. And some of the stuff I didn't understand, I'm just like, all right, that's what it is. Polymer, cool. All right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. You don't want to just believe big words and in white papers, you know. So you got to figure out what you're learning. You got to get into a little bit, or just follow a recipe. That's why synthetic nutrient. I mean, even organic. I don't give a shit. I grow organic. What did I do? I followed a recipe from a forum. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. Somebody else did it, and I used it. And it's the same with synthetic. What are you doing? You're following a recipe on the back of a bottle. But whatever works best for you, you need the micro and macronutrients, but they need to be backed by science. Your training methods backed by science. All the stuff you're doing, we've got evidence now. We're no longer just using an old, dated Jorge Cervantes book. Shout out to Jorge, doing a new one. But we're no longer using that as our Bible. You know what I'm saying?
speak for yourself. It's still my Bible. Okay.
Yeah, I watched this show called the Y Files. It's like a conspiracy YouTube channel, whatever. I'm into weird stuff. And randomly, one episode I see in the corner, there's the Jorge Cervantes Grow Bible. And it's kind of like a family channel a little bit. And I'm like, oh, he's growing reefer. You know, but
funny.
you know, like that's where most people who've been growing since, let's say, pre 2018, we'll say, most people, whether they got it directly from that or indirectly from that, most information came from Ed Rosenthal's book or Horace Cervantes' book, which both have some science but are based on anecdotal evidence. So it's hard to fully have that grasp of knowledge unless you will jump into the current side of things. And I think that's where it's great with Chris having a book coming out. You got Bruce Bugby, who's dropping gems all the time. Horace Cervantes putting a new book out. Stay with the times, baby.
Yeah, got to stay updated there. You know, it's funny you mentioned the organic versus synthetic. It's it's kind of humorous to me. And you know, first off, I'm in the same boat as you, where it's like, do what you think is good for your style, right? Like, I'm not for or against. Well, I'm not against either method, is what I'm trying to say. But more and more people are going back to synthetic. You know, ever since Dr. Bruce Bugby has been dropping gems saying that the molecules break down to the same, and that's actually more efficient to grow with synthetic bottled nutrients. And he's got whole presentations on it at his school. I actually attend Utah State University, and he's got presentations just on organic versus synthetic. And he shows that it's breaking down to the same molecule. And so it's just kind of funny. You got people going from synthetic to organic and then back to synthetic because of the words that he has been saying about it. So,
well, it doesn't help that he's working with Athena directly, but also he's not wrong.
Well, now he is. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting paid by them. But seeing on the side end of things, if you're looking from a business perspective and a dollar perspective, ROI perspective, all day synthetic, there's no conversation. Now, for home grower, you say, no. Trust me, at scale, you cannot have a successful like super soil grow out of the gate unless you got a lot of money and patience and time. I mean, at scale, you got to think about, 30,000 square feet and trying to run like that, not your 5x5 grow tent, 4x4. It's a little different, or your basement or your pole barn. Synthetically, ROI, yeah, I agree. But for in the environment and sustainability, definitely not. But he's definitely not wrong. I mean, you can crop steer, you could push your stuff, you could change your EC up and down. You can really, really manipulate your crops with synthetic feeding, and that's why it's popular. And whatever issue you have, you can correct sooner than later. Like, of course. But personally, I have more of a bond, I'd say, with organic growing, just because the fact of sustainability for the earth. Like, I'm not buying a bunch of that's depleting out of nature to reuse in my garden.
Get
So,
out of here, you kumbaya hippie.
yeah.
Womp, womp, womp. Save the fucking turtles. Womp, womp, womp.
He's
No,
like, I still
flush that-
use
Flush that
6-pack
shit
rings.
down the drain, baby. No. No,
No,
very good points. Very good points.
That's the only side that's logical, though. Otherwise, dollars and cents, hydro, synthetic, artificial. Yeah, that's why our food is all like that. You think that they're doing it because it's a feel good thing? No, it's because of dollars and cents, baby. That's why they got bananas they're making for 2 cents or less. You know, it's
come out like the size of my
I
forearm,
bought a
man.
$9 watermelon recently. That was like yay big, and it was a mini. They call it a mini one. It was $9.
You pay 9. Is that absurd or good?
Absurd for a
Okay, I was like,
watermelon?
wow, that's expensive watermelon, bro.
For a
Is that only in
watermelon?
America?
Crazy.
But
Yeah.
for a home grow, totally different. You know, totally
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think that's where the argument of synthetic versus organic is subjective. But again, I love everything Bruce is doing, but
Has done.
you work with Athena, no? Come on,
Yeah, but
man.
nah,
Like,
but you can't. Yeah,
Breaking
yeah.
news.
Breaking news. Well, yeah, rebroken.
well, I mean, it's
I don't think
out
a
on
lot of
it's
people know
public
about
now.
that.
Sorry, Chris, go. Sorry, finished. You were gonna say finish, Rob?
Well, I was just to say it's public now. It's on their page.
Right.
It
And
wasn't
Chris-
before, so I'm not. I
So
don't
what's
wanna
the
say-
deal?
I can't get into details on deals, but just
No,
on the
I mean,
public
but
side.
what's public? What's publicly
He's
known?
just doing all their videos, and he's doing a bunch of original content for them on their pages, and then all his stuff that he's doing now, all the videos you'll see on YouTube, it'll be brought to you by Athena. So essentially, he's sponsored by them, but he's working with them directly. But I do like the fact that they're bringing in a scientist who knows stuff instead of just a botanist who doesn't know the plant. You know, he knows this plant, so it's good. People have their opinion on Athena. I've met a lot of the reps. Every evil corporation has good employees. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to have a bad thing to say about Athena because they're all really cool dudes.
Find me
Very,
a
very passionate
corporation
about the plant.
that isn't. First of all, second
Yeah.
of all, congratulations to Bruce for securing the bag for the community. That's the second. Number 3, I think behind every good message and every good movement, you need money, man. You need resources, and you need the ability to get your word to as many people as possible. And sometimes that means, it's like, I don't know. We're streaming on Twitch that's owned by Amazon. We are posting our stuff on YouTube that's owned by Google. I'm using my iPhone that's owned by Apple. Find me a corporation that's not horrible. Okay, so no, I know you'll find one or two, but the reality is that I'm happy to see the advancement of the community backed by dollars, man. And sometimes there are actors that have more money than others, and I'm not saying I'm working with the Saudis, but it's like you do need to be able to take advantage of opportunities that are in front of you. And I don't think you can. Or I'm not going to say you are. I don't think we can disregard or tarnish all the work he's done up till this point, only because he's secured the bag for himself and the community.
I will say on a non-biased, I don't like what happened with the company side when Franklin Field switched from Success Nutrients to Athena Nutrients. The first run, their terpenes and THC went down. Once they added what was it, Flush or Fade, which was their most recent product to the line, their terpenes went up from, let's say the pink cookie was like 1.8 is now 2.6. The THC was up from 22 to now like 27. And the yield wasn't massively up. The bud looked comparable, but if you're having a complete nutrient line, like I've said this before, I don't care if you're using advanced house and garden, Athena, any whatever big name you want to throw at it. If you're using their entire line, you're going to get good results. If you're doing organic, if you're doing the entire complete nutrient cycle, you're going to do good. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is where your dollars and cents are going to. If it's a company you don't believe in, then do something different, because you can find an alternative through a random local brand that no one's ever of because it's a complete nutrient line. I'm not buying Athena, no offense to them, but they got enough money. They're good. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Build a Soil. Fucking crew. I don't buy the product, not because I don't like them, but because I can find it elsewhere locally for more affordable. So it boils down to like, there's no brand loyalty for nutrients or for products like that. In my opinion, as long as that company gives a shit about our community and puts out the good products, thumbs up for me. I got no bad thing to say about them, you know, personally.
The only thing I know about Athena is, man, MJ BizCon, they had one of the largest booths out there. You guys remember that? They're
Yeah,
like triple floor.
it was
Place
crazy.
was just packed at all times. I mean,
Amazing.
Athena's hot right now.
It was
Hot.
amazing. And Athena, if you're listening, there's a lot of things that I could do out there if I tapped into a little piece of that pie.
Yeah.
You know who else had a huge booth? Advanced. So it's like, or a huge booth. They had a bus they parked in there. But the thing is like, at what point does it tip the scale? How, like, can you succeed in the community? Can you be at the top without being looked at like, you know, you swallowed small children along the way?
100%, not a chance. I mean, again, we just talked
Right.
about this the other day. Mr. Beast, Karen Blind people,
Yeah.
like, you piece of, your video was monetized. You garbage can human. Like, you
Yeah.
know, Bill Gates helping this, and this. They're like, you eat kids. It's like, whoa. like, so no matter what, there's going to be good and bad, you know? But when it comes to your home grow, I don't give a shit, man. I know people who are using Advanced to this day and love the results. Shout out to you. I don't care if Guy Fieri's swolled up brother on Coke is getting money or not. I think that you really got to look at the fact that if you are happy as a grower, all the power to you. Now, old Rob, pre-daily microdose Rob, would have said, no, that sucks. This is trash. But if you're happy with what you're doing, man, I got people who use General Hydroponics 3 parts. I mean, to fix their car. You guys hear that squeak?
Oh yeah,
Horrible. You
I've
hear
been
that?
there. I've
Just
been
fix it.
there. That's
It's
a
a you
belt.
do-it-yourself thing.
That's
It's
a
not
belt.
even a big
Tighten
thing.
it up.
But you've got a lot of people who are very brand loyalists and very like, oh, just these guys, I give them that. But then if that company does one thing that you disagree with, it's going to be the end of it for you, and you'll never use what worked good for you. So try not to get too attached to the brand and get more attached to a product that works good for you. You know, all it's going to take is for, you know, again, our homies at AC to say or do something. If they had a public figure, like a face, like a Elon Musk for Twitter, and he said or did something up, then all of a sudden everyone's like, I can't believe you support them. They're pieces of shit. And it's like, well, you know, man, Jesse, you're working hard on this episode. I'm sorry, I'm cussing a lot. But it really boils down to you find what works good for you as a home grower, you know, and don't look past that. I rag on Hawthorne, but man, they've got good products. You know, you say what you want to say. It is what it is.
They swallow good companies. What can I say?
What can I say? They buy them all up, you know. But
and again, we just can't hold our community to a standard that's just unacceptable. This happens in life all the time. Companies get swallowed by bigger companies. Those little companies hopefully get paid, you know, for their work. That's the idea, right? So it's like, and the more resources leads to more advancements. So I just, you know, we have so many hurdles that we need to conquer as a community, that the infighting and the focus of us beating each other up versus like who's making this money, doing what, doing that. It's like, let's focus on the proliferation of legalization. Let's work on getting medication to the masses. Let's work on getting the awareness spread to as many people as possible. Those are the things that I'm looking for, and the little side things and hustles, or the side quivers and, you know, bickering is just, I don't have time for it. I don't have time
it's
for it.
Noise.
It's noise. It's like, let's use what opportunities, resources, money, cash, while maintaining an ethical code and a moral compass. How can we accomplish our dreams and get the word of this product to as many people as possible, so they have the opportunity to do the same? That's my mission. So
that's what I'm trying to get over now.
Hope when I get to the top, I didn't squish too many people along the way.
Well, like the more I got into the back end of stuff of the commercial industry, the more of a taste I got in my mouth. But the more I'm like, hey, owners of corporations and of places all tend to be turds. It just happens to be that way. It's like the more money you get, the more of a piece of you become, I think. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. But every company has great people. Companies, for marketing purposes, will do good things. And, you know, in Michigan, there's brands like Flourish that I ran my mouth about because they're part of the MCMA. But now my good buddies are part of the Chad Watch, who are very, as the name of the podcast, Chad Watch, are very, very anti-corporate, are now actually working with them to help them change their whole everything because they're like, hey, we're not working with Verdis, which was a bad named, we'll say, testing facility in Michigan. We're not doing this. They're trying to do better, regardless if it's for marketing or if it's because they are trying to do better. We benefit. The consumer, the community, we all benefit. So jump on it, capitalize on it, and do better for you and for the community. It's the same with the nutrients, the products. If there's ways that you can make it better for you and yours, let's do it. Let's take ours, because no matter what, these that are investors or some big money person at the top, they are a piece of shit, and they're going to get money with or without us. You know, so I figure it's better to look at what's good for us as a community and double down on it. You know, we saw brands at MJ BizCon who were doing awesome stuff for post-party events and hooking people up with free stuff and educating people, and I was just me, cynical douche. A lot going live. I'm like, I'm here with people I hate. Like, and instead of kind of just been like, hey, these guys just donated, $100,000 to this Last Prisoner Foundation, and Jim Belushi, I stepped on his shoes, but P's wife was geeked. Instead, I was just like, and there's no growth if you're that cynical in this industry. You got to really figure out a way to capitalize for our community, man. Belgium's over here. That a lot of people are only interested in the bag and not the weed bag, but we can do both here in this community.
I have said our community misses that ability. It's not that we're all a bunch of potheads, but so it's like if we had a little bit of bag at the same time, imagine what we could do. The reason I'm in the legal industry, we're getting it all over the place, which is a great from the stash conversation. But the reason the legal industry did not succeed or is struggling to succeed in Canada is because it was a bunch of suits with cash that came in that had no idea how to grow the plant, didn't know what good tasting product was, and no idea that it even took weeks and weeks to grow. And it didn't, and they couldn't, and you couldn't flood the system with money. We couldn't do it on our own because we don't have access to that money. You pair the both together, you can do some pretty amazing things. And I think that's why now craft selection is really becoming big, is because people are finally, the suits and the cash are finally pairing up with people that have the ability to do it and are doing it with the passion, and they're meeting in the middle and then giving us some of this really, really good product.
Speaking of really, really good product, I've seen some word of the streets, but ears been to the streets. Tomorrow there's a super secret special drop that you might be able to have a chill out Friday. Is that what I'm seeing?
Keep your ears to the streets a little bit, and Twitter at Mr. Grow It to keep an eye out for that. Also Instagram posts and stories. Yeah, it's released, so if you want it,
every Friday, perhaps, is that what I'm hearing? But we don't want to say too much, so let's conclude this YouTube epi. And for those that don't know, we do record these episodes live every single week on Thursdays, typically around 1 p.m. Central on Twitch, twitch.tv/FromTheStash. Come check it out. This is going to go on YouTube so everybody in the Twitch chat is like, what? Yeah, we're going to end this on YouTube, and we're going to actually have a toke session on Twitch right afterwards. They had no idea.
Smoke out there.
Yeah, but he's getting it for the very first time. No, guys.
No cigars. I'm not going to have a cigar this time.
No, real stuff.
Real stuff, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Pigeons. Mr. Growit's on one of these sides of me. Rob's on the other. And the guy you can't see is Wink. We appreciate him for putting in the time that he does. We're from the stash. We'll see you next week.